Hello and welcome to this little video diary. This time about Nosferatu, Wrath of the Malachi or Malachi or whatever. And it's a older first-person shooter about vampires. So, your completely useless sister couldn't find a real Englishman to marry, so she had to marry some count at nowhere, who turns out to be a vampire and captures your entire family and locks them up in his castle. And there you are, trying to find them all and rescue them all and kill the vampires with stakes and holy water and crucifix and flintlock guns and so on, and it's a great deal of fun. But now I'm getting ahead of myself. So this video will be my impression of the game after completing the main campaign on difficulty normal, and it took approximately around 5 or 6 hours. I didn't count actually. And I should also probably mention that I did not play the game when it came out, so this is a totally new experience for me. Okay, so let's talk about the story. Well, you are there to save your family and kill some vampires, and the vampires are trying to resurrect some old ancient evil and blah blah blah. It's boring, it's not why the game is any good. The reason that the game is any good and worth mentioning is that it just oozes with atmosphere at every direction. You know, it's a game about vampires that are actually about vampires. You are running around with a crucifix or a holy water and splashing it in vampires' faces, or running around and staking vampires in the coffin. It's a great deal of fun, and it really feels like you are actually fighting vampires. And as I mentioned before, there are quite a lot of cool weapons in the game. I mean, you have the very vampire-related stuff like crucifix or stakes or holy water and so on. But there are also the guns like flintlock guns and muskets or revolver or machine guns that really fits the theme of the, I don't know, 19th century castle somewhere. But they're quite fun. They're not a whole lot of them, but those that are quite cool, and they feels like they fit. And each weapon has its own advantages and disadvantages. Now, some weapons are quite a bit better than others, and especially so the holy water. And I found it to be a bit overpowered, since it takes a whole lot of damage, and you can replenish it at any bath of water by just, swing the crucifix at it and make it holy somehow. But even if that is the case, I can still appreciate that, it's not the machine gun or the musket that becomes overpowered, and it's still the, very much vampire-related stuff that is still used later on in the game. Now let's talk about the combat. Yeah, let's talk about the combat. Yeah, the combat was pretty good. The action is nice. The enemies won't win any AI awards, but still they were okay. The guns was, as I mentioned before, quite nice, and it was okay. It was nothing spectacular, but it absolutely did its part. The enemy variety could be a bit better, but it absolutely works, and there are a lot of quite interesting enemies in the game that forces you to use the vampire-related stuff like crucifixes and not just shoot them, which is nice. But enough about the combat, let's talk about some bad stuff. Well, for starters, there are no map in the game, and some levels in the game can be quite confusing, and it's not always all that easy to find out firstly where you are or where you are supposed to go. Now, my sense of direction sucks in the real life as well, but I had trouble finding where I was supposed to go, especially so in the first wing, that is to say the east wing. There was stairways and hallways and locked doors and unlocked doors everywhere, and I basically just ran around aimlessly trying to find my relatives and then trying to find myself out of the east wing. And it doesn't help that a lot of the environments look quite samey. I mean, it's the same castle, so they can explain it, but at the end of the day, it looks quite samey, and the game could have been quite a lot better if the environments were a bit more varied. But one of the problems with being lost and running around backtracking is that there is not an infinite amount of ammo in the game, at certain locations. So if you backtrack to a hallway that you've already been to, then the enemies will be respawned, and when you kill them again, you lose some ammo, but there are no new ammo to replenish the lost ammo. So it kind of becomes a bad spiral where all your ammo is used up. Now, considering that I've been talking about levels in the game, I should probably mention that this is not a from point A to point B type of game. This is a game where you have, the hub area in the courtyard, and you have three wings: the east wing, the west wings, of course, and the main building. And you're running around and then finding keys and so on to unlock the new path. But enough about that. Let's talk about more bad stuff. One of them is that often when you enter a room, there will all most often be enemies spawned at the right or left side of the door in question. Especially so in the east wings with a certain kind of enemy, and that got bloody annoying. I also encountered one glitch where I forgot my sister and left her hanging. But I was able to solve it, so no biggie. Okie dokie, so I guess I said my bit about this game. But it was an okay game. It uses its vampires and its theme quite a lot, and that's nice. But it's nothing amazing or spectacular or anything. You must play this game, but it was nice. And if you have some time over, you might consider checking this one out if you think this sounds interesting. Now the visuals in the game looks like the visuals in the game does if you look at the video. So yeah, but it's a dated game and it looks dated. Of course it does, but it does have a nice, uh, I don't know what it's called, film grain effect or something like that, which makes it look a bit cool. But enough about this game. Bye bye. Thank you for watching.